All right. Hello, everybody. We're live. Hello, everybody, and Buddy here. Great to see you. I'm doing pretty well. Hello from Waco. Good evening from Hilton Head, Saul. Nice to see you here. Bill from Massachusetts. Yeah. All right. So, yeah. Getting the regulars here. And I didn't really publicize this stream too much. Didn't give it a compelling title on YouTube. And there hasn't been a whole lot of news this week. It's kind of like the summer slowdown of the news cycle for products. I still think there's a lot of other exciting stuff coming later in the summer and then, of course, into the fall. And we have some stuff to talk about related to that. But yeah, it's definitely like the quiet season of summer is kind of set in. I've been playing more with, of course, the Aqara G410 doorbell. Got a review coming on that very soon, as well as the Aqara G100 camera. That's a really cool little camera. And I think Aqara's done a really good job with that one. And then, there's a couple things with Apple rumors that I want to clarify because I think there's just some things that we can get to details there. One specific one with Apple rumors is that I just want to mention here because it's exciting, is that we got some more news on a potential HomePod Mini 2 coming this fall, hopefully with a software update. Of course, last year around this time, Apple released the midnight color HomePod Mini, and I'm hoping to see just a processor bump there, and I think it would be nice to see it move to, as this rumor's mentioning here from Mac Rumors, to Wi-Fi 6E if it moves to a newer generation Apple Watch chip, as a lot of the HomePods are powered by Apple Watch systems on chips. So that would make sense. Again, not a huge release, not nearly as big as something like the Smart Display, which probably is coming next year at some point, based on the latest rumors. But yeah, new HomePod Mini is in the works, and that would be great to see. I think the HomePod Mini, also, it'll be interesting to see what they do with the price, because the HomePod Mini is an incredible value at $99, and I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to something like $129. We'll see. We'll see what Apple does there. I know Apple likes to kind of think of the price as the marketing. So a $99 price does sound nice in marketing, and they might try to sacrifice things to hit that price point. But we'll see. Oh, hey, got some more regular. Whoops. Cancel. Got some more regulars in the chat. Break Time 101. Nice to see you. Egger's Home Tech. Thank you for tuning in. Another great smart home channel. Hello from Honduras. Very cool, Antonio. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you. And yes, from hot and humid Georgia. Hey, Jeff. We had a nice break from the hot weather today up here in Illinois, but we definitely have had our share of a hot summer. So there's a rumor a few weeks ago that like Mark Gurman reported on, and then I think it got misinterpreted by a lot of people, and it's kind of in the health and fitness tech space. But it was one that's just like, I haven't heard of a single person understand this properly. And so I just wanted to mention a little bit of what I think is going on, because of course rumors are Mark and other people, they hear sources from inside Apple and probably other places and try and interpret what they're saying and then make it into a cohesive story that then we hear on the outside as their part of their reporting, and they're really good at that stuff. But of course, with that, I think sometimes things get misreported. And there was this whole idea, and I have no inside information on this, but I'm just basing it off what I see out there and what I think would make sense for Apple to do. But this whole idea that Apple's like doing some kind of AI doctor program with their health app. And, maybe they are doing some kind of content around things to help you and some video content there. But I think in general, they're probably trying to move closer to a lot of their competition in the fitness space, Because if you look at something like, you know, an Aura Ring or Whoop, they have so much more about what you're doing with, and there's an Apple Watch angle to this I'm going to bring back in a minute, and an app recommendation too. But you know, Aura and Whoop, they both have these like fitness scores in their screenshots that show you, you know, kind of how you're doing based on different metrics. And Aura, I think, even has like I've never used an Aura Ring, but like you can chat with an AI in it. And I would imagine that Apple's trying to sort of go along those lines of like being able to ask Apple Intelligence to analyze your health data, right? It's probably not dealing with that much data. You could try to see how Apple Intelligence could maybe handle some of that stuff. And so that would also be a nice privacy first angle with the health stuff. So I imagine that whatever they're doing with AI and health, it probably pertains to like just getting advice on your data more than it is like actually trying to, you know, be something that's more like a doctor. I don't think that's what Apple's trying to do. One thing, if you use an Apple Watch like myself, but you want to have some more metrics that are more like the style of an R Ring or a Whoop, where it's like telling you you're fatigued today, today's a great day to work out really hard, all that kind of stuff. And you do sleep tracking with your Apple Watch. It's kind of a critical component of it. But I would recommend checking out Athletic. I've been using it for now like a year and a half or something. Again, no affiliation or anything like that on my channel. I don't really talk about health stuff much, but sometimes I put in these grab bag topics of other things I'm interested in into these live streams, stuff I want to talk about that's related to Apple, of course, or smart home tech, for sure. But yeah, Athletic is a really great app, and it just tells you a bunch about your sort of recovery percentage, how hard you should work out that particular day, how much of your percentage goal, sleep goal you met over the previous night and the nights before that, and how much sleep debt you have and stuff. So I just find it to be a really great way to look at your health data. So again, it's taking the data from HealthKit from your Apple Watch or whatever else dumps data into HealthKit, and then looking at it from there. So good recommendation for that. But yeah, not too much news this week. I've been playing with some smart plug energy monitoring. I've been playing with the Roborock Saros 10R a little bit more. So yes, doing a lot of smart home projects. I have a one thing I'm excited about for this weekend is I have a Ubiquiti, and this is something I actually got myself. They didn't send it to me, but like I got one of the Ubiquiti outdoor Wi-Fi 7 access points. So I'm interested to see how that works, because the signal from our Wi-Fi on our porch is a little weak, and I'd like it to be stronger, especially sometimes in the morning or evenings. In the summer, it can be really nice to just be outside in sort of that cool summer evening or summer morning outdoor time. So yeah, hoping to get some good Wi-Fi installed out there. So that'll be a fun weekend project I'm hoping to have time for this weekend. Last weekend, my wife went to Florida to visit her sister, and so I was with the kids all weekend, which was a lot of fun, but I obviously didn't get to as much video stuff. I did a little bit of things here and there while they're, asleep at night or whatever, but yeah, so that definitely slowed down my video process a little bit there for a few days. And still working on my new app that's coming along, getting there one of these days. I have some other just exciting stuff around this channel that I want to announce soon. So stay tuned for that. Also, I'm planning a lot of logistics for coming up. I'll be going to IFA in Berlin, covering that conference for you guys. So yeah, just if you have any questions about that as that gets closer, maybe we'll do like a live stream from IFA. We'll see what my internet options are there, but I think that could work out. So, hey, Water Bottle 365, thanks for joining. Another regular viewer. Good to have you here. Oh yeah, so I actually bumped my I bumped my live stream start time back 15 minutes. So that's, to 8:15 my time, which works out a little better for me in terms of getting the kids to bed and then doing like a few other things. Preparing for the live stream gives me a little more time, a little more breathing room in my time. So, yeah, maybe that works for other people too. It obviously makes it later, especially for folks on the East Coast time, depending on if you're early to bed, like sometimes I am. So yeah, every time change or schedule change, there's winners and losers. But one thing I wanted to call out that I've also been doing recently, if you've missed it, is my Sunday scene. And there's actually something I want to mention about the latest Sunday scene, but this is my new sort of revamped version of my newsletter. And it's a weekly newsletter about Apple and smart home tech. And it's really just, I pick out 3 things that I think are worth your attention. So, and then just briefly go into them, and it's completely free. You can just sign up on my website. So actually, I need to fix this. This form should be at the top of the page. It shouldn't be the articles first, but whoops, I need to fix that. But yeah, so you just put your email address in here, hit subscribe. You'll get a confirmation email sent to your inbox, and then you're on the list. So the reason, if you previously subscribed to my email newsletter, I sent you the first Sunday scene, but then I didn't auto opt you into the next ones, just because I previously did newsletters at the most a monthly pace. And so it wouldn't have been, I think, fair to take your email address and then start sending you weekly emails if you previously signed up for monthly or quarterly emails. So so that's why if you previously signed up for my email newsletter, you might not be getting the Sunday scene, but you can go over there and subscribe on my website. Again, ericw.org/newsletter. Scroll to the bottom right now. Hopefully I'll fix this maybe after the stream and bump that form up to the top. Another thing too, if you want to tune in live, you can always go over here and get the calendar for my live streams. So, of course, time shift, depending on my schedule, maybe a little bit. Certain weeks I might not have a live stream. And so over here, you can see the Google Calendar, which if you use Google Calendar, you can add that to your Google Calendar. But there's also an ICS feed. So if you use Apple or Microsoft for your calendar, you can subscribe to the ICS feed and get it there. So then it's just, another option showing there in your calendar. It's not going to show you as busy in those time slots, right? But you'll just be able to see that as like, oh, if you want to tune in, there's the calendar. And I usually put a link as well to the live stream right there in the calendar event for that particular week. So you can quickly join from there. So just keep that in mind as well. Another thing over on my website. So, yeah. Oh, bummer. Can't get any of the Orion or linked Link-kind matter bulbs to connect to Apple Home. Sorry to hear that, Kyle. I've not tried either of those myself. I have been playing with a few new light bulbs, but not those. Oh, yes. And this is the thing. Thank you, Waterbottle365, for reminding me. It's, thank you so much for tuning in. Now, I was a little bit strong in my language in the newsletter about this. I think, how did I put it in the newsletter? After I sent it, I did not like this. I said, I think ignoring them, as in projectors, is at your own loss. And I'm going to follow up with this. I think that was a kind of harsh language, but what I was getting at there is something I still believe as far as an idea, which is that I don't think TVs are going anywhere, right? I think for a lot of people, TVs work fine. And I think there's a lot of great TVs, and I actually have plans to continue to. I also think, by the way, all this aside, really brief thing, Apple has at the top of their website navigation, TV and home, and maybe that'll stay or not. But I think it's really a sign that something that I agree with too is that television like technology and like audiovisual technology is very much a part of smart home tech, just as much as home surveillance and home security and home automation with lighting and smart thermostats and all that stuff is all robot vacuums. It's all part of just building a more technically rich smart home that does more stuff for you and is fun to be in, and so TVs are part of that. And I certainly plan to continue to cover things around Apple TV, around HomeKit TVs, and different TV technology as it relates to the smart home, right? I'm never going to be like a TV reviewer where I have like 4 different OLEDs and I'm telling you like what's the best OLED. Like that's not this channel, but I certainly plan to integrate TVs into my content going forward, as well as also projectors. And I think that one of the things as a viewer, whether you're in the market for a projector right now or not, I just think it's worth it, and I'm not saying like watch all of my projector videos. I'm just saying like in general, as a technology area, you should be more up to date on what's going on in the world of projectors. And that's what I felt and what I'm trying to do for myself in 2024 and 25 and beyond. I think there's a lot of cool developments there that, if you're just familiar with projectors as a concept, that thing in the back of the classroom you had years ago when you were in school. Of course, then there's also those overhead projectors, remember, with like the transparent paper that the teacher used to write on that would like shine on the board. That's very old school. But, projectors these days that you buy for your home, they no longer use a bulb. They have trichroma lasers or other things that light up right away. They don't have to warm up, and you don't have to replace the bulb in them. They're not super loud with a really loud fan. There are things like ultra short throw projectors, like I talked about in that Nothing projector screen video, that can go right up next to the screen. And so you don't need to mount anything in your ceiling. So even if you rent, you could have a projector that way. And, with that, you can hide a whole projector inside of a piece of furniture or even the floor or different options there. So, I've seen other people talk about the whole portable projector world, and especially, for people who rent and might want to have a big screen occasionally. You can easily pull out one of these portable projectors and it'll automatically align the image on your wall and make it look nice. And I talked a little bit about that with an XGME review I did. And there's a lot of other options in that category too. So I just think there's so many different things where modern technology, whether it's, machine learning vision for aligning projector images or optical zoom on projectors or, the trichroma laser, ultra short throw, ALR screens that can reject more light and give you a brighter image, a higher gain screen of various technology that can, could be ALR or other things, giving you a brighter image in sunlight. There's so many of these things that when they all come together mean that projectors, I think, are a lot more compelling technology for a lot more people in a lot more places. And I just think a smart home of the future probably has a projector somewhere in the mix. It could be a portable thing that you keep in your closet and you take out to your backyard to watch the occasional summer movie night. It could be something where it's more of a formal setup in like a home theater style thing or something in between. But it's just something to keep in mind as you're looking at different options. I'm also thinking about too, like with projectors, like it's pretty easy for, if we're going to a lake house in the summer, renting a lake house that we don't own, like we could just take a projector with us and then we have like a big screen for those kind of like movie nights if we want to do that. Maybe we don't, maybe we do. But, it's other things like that where you can't it's pretty hard to take your 100-inch TV with you on a road trip. But to throw one of these smaller projectors in the back of your car, not as much of a challenge. So yeah, just different layers there of things around projectors. But that's why, there's I think Sarah Dietschy, was a YouTuber who said this whole idea of like, one for me, one for them, kind of like doing videos that your audience wants versus videos that you want. And for me, projectors and robot vacuums are things I do for myself because I like those areas of smart home technology, and I think you should be up to date on them by watching my channel. But obviously, I'm not going to comprehensively cover either of those worlds. So it's kind of like a video for me, but I also think, I'm making them because I know, not because I think you're going to click on, all of you as an audience are going to devour them up like maybe some other videos I do. It's stuff I make for myself, and I hope you enjoy. And I think it's technology you should be up to date on to a certain extent. So rant over. Thank you for listening, but that's my thought on projectors here. But yeah. Purchased my first Aqara products on Prime Day. Great, a 3-pack of water sensors. That's exciting, Jeff. Well, thanks for joining the live stream. Yeah, those can be very nice for making sure your sinks aren't leaking. They do require an Aqara hub for setup, or I guess, technically you could probably pair them with other Zigbee hubs if you're advanced in smart home tech. But yeah, that's nice. Hey, Ratchet Gang, thanks for joining. Yes, actually saw this interesting point, a little spoiler alert from my review. So Roborock does not donate the room, or donate's the wrong word, but Roborock does not expose their room zones to Matter. So the Matter spec has an option for the robot vacuum manufacturer to expose the room names that you set up in the robot vacuum app to Matter. So then Apple Home can say, hey, robot, go clean the kitchen. And the kitchen in the robot speak doesn't necessarily correspond to the same thing as like the room you set up in Apple Home or whatever other platform, right? Matter doesn't really share the concept of rooms, at least yet. And so it's a little bit confusing, but yes, Ecovacs is the only manufacturer I've seen that supports Matter and exposes those rooms. So you can do room-specific cleaning with Ecovacs. The Roborock shortcut integration does not support it through Apple Home. Also, the Roborock shortcut intent is a little bit cryptic. They basically kind of like have their intent, just their like Siri intent, just like dumped into shortcuts. And it's great for just simple starting and stopping the vacuum, but there's like some other options there that I don't know how to get a room specific cleaning with that shortcut. But yeah, so I would say if room specific automation cleaning is really top on your list of a robot vacuum that works with Apple Home, I would look at either the one of the newer Ecovacs ones like the X8 Pro Omni or now the X9 Pro Omni or Pro whatever. They also have, if you're looking for something a little bit less expensive on the Ecovac side, the T series, like the T50 Max, also great vacuum. Not quite as new mopping tech or some other things, but still really nice stuff there. So, yeah, unfortunately, I love the Saros 10R. It's a very impressive vacuum, but that's one thing, Saul, that it will not support is Matter, exposing rooms to Matter. So, and I'll get more into the Saros 10R in my upcoming review. And yeah, it's been a fun vacuum to play with. But yeah, Home Assistant, that's another good point. That's another good wild card to throw in there. Water Bottle 365. You could probably do something with Home Assistant and then expose it that way via Roborock. Roborock to Apple Home that way. So yeah, I've actually been playing more with Homey Pro recently, but I have still been using Home Assistant. I've also, by the way, I don't recommend doing this, but I've been doing this for you, is my smart home is currently running on the tvOS beta as my primary home hub. So that's another thing, by the way. I bet some of the reason why Apple allowed you to assign a primary home hub manually is because there's certain things when you change your primary home hub in Apple Home. I've always had a lot of issues with Matter devices not kind of connecting to my smart home properly unless I restart that Matter device. And that's just a real bummer. I don't understand what's going on behind the scenes. And this was long before the tvOS and iOS 26 betas. This is like, been since iOS 18. Like when you change or whenever they enabled that, like when you change your primary Matter controller, maybe other folks have seen this in the chat, but it's just like a bunch of stuff goes unresponsive and you have to basically restart tons of things in your home before that works again. But yeah, otherwise, the betas have been pretty stable from that perspective. Of course, there's a lot of UI changes from the just general operating system UI, not as much in the smart home. Anyway. Oh, nice. Cool. Yeah, you're not the first person, Wild About 365, to talk about this. It's a relatively common thing that I don't know if I really advocate for, but it's certainly becoming increasingly common, especially with advanced smart home users, where you'll get fed up with the limitations of Apple Home, move everything into Home Assistant, and then have Apple Home as like a front end for it, where you basically just expose all your accessories from Home Assistant into Apple Home. I've been really impressed with Homey's automation stuff, and I'll be talking more about that in a future video. I also think Homey can be more of like a user-friendly approach to a similar idea of Home Assistant, giving you more power than Apple Home, but maybe in a more friendly package. If Apple Home is Squarespace and Home Assistant is WordPress, then I kind of feel like Homey is ghost.org CMS, but that's just kind of like nerdy website analogies for content management systems that not everybody's going to get. But if you know, then maybe that helps with the analogies. Is there such a thing as an Apple Home compatible digital picture frame? I wish, Ratchet Gang. I mean, there's the photo screensavers on tvOS. There are various apps for like iPad. If you have a wall-mounted iPad, you could, of course, use one of the photo widgets as well for a wall-mounted iPad there. But that's going to be about as close as you can get. I've run across a number of good photo frames that are not tied into Apple specifically that now the name is slipping me as far as one that's a good experience. We were using the Amazon Echo Show 24-inch or whatever for a while. And then with the ALEXA Plus early access beta that I'm on, that's kind of taken over that screen in a different way. Of course, it can still show photos and you can ask it to see photos, but it's not the same kind of like with the old UI for that. There was a way to have like a picture frame and then some widgets in a nice way. And they don't really have that with the new setup. It's either like the picture or all your widgets. But yeah, I unfortunately no good Apple Home option for a digital picture frame. I would love to see that though. I know some of you guys or plenty of people were sad to see my lamp in the corner go, but these this Govee tree floor lamp I previously installed and talked about on my last live stream, continuing to work well for me. I like it. I mean, just objectively, aside from the smart home side of it, I just like the different color options and how it's a little bit smaller in the corner, so which is nice for such a small office space than my previous lamp. I mean, the previous lamp looked cool and it was controlled with a smart dimmer actually. And that's another thing to mention too. One of the underrated smart home products that I used to use for that lamp, and still something I would use and recommend. I just don't have I don't have a use for it at the moment. Let me go ahead and pull this up. Where is this? Here we go. So this is the Lutron Smart Lamp Dimmer. And so this is meant specifically for working with a lamp. And if you have Lutron Caseta or not, you need a Lutron Caseta wireless bridge to do this. So probably only if you already have that, it would make sense. But, you might have that for, let's say, smart shades or the smart switches. But these are smart plugs that work with a lamp. And so they will do Lutron's really good dimmer technology, but then applied to bulbs in a lamp. And the nice part about that is that then you can control it in Apple Home, just like any dimmable bulb. Of course, because it's a dimmable light, you don't specify color. It's just the brightness of the light and on and off. And then it often comes, depending on what you buy it with, in a kit with a Pico remote. Of course, if you already have a Pico remote, you could also tie an existing Pico remote to one of these new dimmers that you buy on its own. But yeah, this is a little more of an example of how it works. You plug in the lamp. It's the 2 prongs for the lamp. It doesn't, have the grounding third part of the US plug. I'm not aware of, because Lutron is kind of a US centric company, if there's options like this for other parts of the world. I know TP-Link has made a very similar product. I wouldn't be surprised if TP-Link has versions of that for other parts of the world. But yeah, if you have North American outlets in your home, this could be a really cool option to, again, make it so that the Lutron smart lighting can not only be for the switches in the wall, but also the lamps you might have around your home. So, yeah. More questions. No, I haven't heard about our lovely Apple Voice Assistant coming to any more third-party devices. I kind of feel like we're in an awkward time with that part of Apple and smart home tech. It sounds like, based on the rumors, that you might have read as well, that the whole Apple smart home display project is on hold because of the new architecture, as well as new, not only for the voice assistant, but also for new intents, which are what allow you to sort of expose actions of your app to the system for things like Apple shortcuts, but also for things like, when you pull down in Spotlight and search, you'll see some of those at the top next to the app icon. There are a handful of other places Apple's putting them in the system, but they're making a new version of that, which is more tailored to an LLM being able to, large language model being able to look at your app intents and understand them at a deeper level and work with them more than I think the current intents would allow. And so that's apparently coming and in the works. So I think that with that, we're probably not going to see a lot of third-party support for Apple's voice assistant beyond what already works with the Ecobee thermostat, just because I think pretty much all those kind of tangential projects I'm guessing would be put on hold for a lot of this new architecture to settle, and then a lot of those other things can fall into place. So yeah, unfortunately, that's, I think, just where we are with that. I will say that I mentioned this in the past one, and I mentioned this in my Sunday Scene newsletter as well. This actually came out after our live stream last week. Let me pull up this article. So Jennifer Patterson Tui at The Verge got some nice access to ALEXA Plus, just like I have, but she was much more industrious in getting a thing put together about it. And I love how a lot of things she's focusing on were like asking it about tennis scores or things around recipes to make in the kitchen. And I think that there's so much of this AI advancement that, yes, you can set ad hoc sort of routines of like, hey, every morning when the sun rises, turn off the kitchen lights, that kind of stuff. You can set via voice with a more powerful voice assistant like this, but so much of that power is not necessarily applied to smart home tech, right? I think a lot of these companies see the turn on the lights, turn off the lights, set the thermostat to this temperature to be kind of solved problems. I know a lot of us see edge cases in that and hope that these smarter voice assistants will fill in all of those gaps. We'll see. But I think a lot of the goals of this is to sort of make the voice assistant more capable across your digital life. And so that whether it's Amazon, Apple, Google, they can sell you this speaker with a lot more use cases right out of the box without it having to be like, okay, now that you have your smart display set up, now go buy some smart bulbs or a smart thermostat and all this stuff that, of course, is things, a lot of us watching this channel, a lot of you guys watching this channel have probably had installed in your home for years, but plenty of people are just getting into it. And if you're new to smart home tech, welcome. Shout us out in the chat, ask some questions. Love to hear from you. It's, never, always a good time to get into smart home tech in my view, of course. But, I just think a lot of this new move to AI, we might be thinking, oh, so finally smart home tech will, there's always the finally smart home tech will get good when, scenario that I think a lot of people talk about, right? For a long time, it was finally smart home tech will be good when, we have Matter bridging everything together. And Matter over time gradually has done a lot for smart home tech and made things, I think, a lot better, but it hasn't, it's certainly come with speed bumps along the way. And there's never been that like one moment where all of a sudden it reached a tipping point. Maybe CES in 2023 was a pretty big year for that, and just recognizing Matter kind of coming up of age. But in general, I think AI voice assistants are going to be similar. We might think now, oh, finally, once these LLMs, once my my voice assistant in my kitchen with my HomePod is as smart as ChatGPT or Claude, it's going to be amazing, and I'll be able to do so much stuff. And I think the advantage Apple has, of course, a lot of us probably have our lives tied up in our Apple devices. So I mean, some of that I think will come, but yeah, it's just I don't know. I wouldn't count on it being this thing that fixes all your smart home problems, though. Hey, got some other regulars. Good to see you, William. Oh, nice. Got out of work. Hope everyone's okay. Yes. Good to see you here. Yeah, having a good Thursday night. And Modern Day Tech. What's up? Oh, yes. Yes. I'm wearing one of your favorite polo shirts. Yeah, they're good. This was from a number of years ago. We did a Christmas card where our whole family was wearing these matching polo shirts, and so we got them for the different sizes for the kids and stuff. And so this was mine from that number of years ago. Christmas card, and still works as a shirt. So, hey, Ricardo. Yeah, and I've seen demos of their assistant at both years of CES. They had demos of it in various forms. Like both years. The 2 years I've been to CES, which are 2024 and 2025. Yeah, I think it's the advantage that Aqara has there that I think is exciting for the smart home tech side is that they can integrate a lot of this stuff together, right? They're the ones testing their AI assistant along with all their hardware. So the hardware and software. Never heard of a company talk about integrating hardware and software so seamlessly before Aqara, right? It's Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. I really like Aqara's form factor they have for their they have like this little voice coin puck thing that you like pick up and then you can talk to it and then put it back down. And that's sort of the way to deal with the wake word. So it's not having to always listen, and it's cool because then I mean, it seems like there's the privacy angle, of course, and then there's also the sort of physical saving battery power nature of that it's not having to listen for the wake word and you just pick it up and that's when it knows. And so and maybe the accelerometer or whatever in there is easier, less battery power than listening for the voice. I'm not sure on all those details, but yeah, I mean, to be clear, this is just a concept Aqara has publicly showed at both CES conferences that I've been at. So or conventions. It's not something that's public yet. For like, you can't go buy it right now. But yeah, I know they have some AI assistant stuff in their app as well in certain phases of those demos. So I don't think it's just that you have to buy the little coin. But we'll see how that all shakes out. It'll be interesting to see where Aqara goes with that. And, that's another side with Matter too. It's nice with something like Aqara, you might think, oh, well, then because Aqara is doing this thing, maybe I want to do it. Maybe then that means I need to buy all Aqara stuff. And that's not necessarily the case with, Aqara's hubs becoming Matter controllers and things. As long as what you're buying supports Matter, you can what's called multi-admin that accessory into different ecosystems, right? So people were talking about Home Assistant earlier. One way you can sort of do multiple smart home platforms, of course, as I think Water Bottle 365 was mentioning, you could have your Home Bridge hub be the hub or bridge that talks to Apple Home, and that's like everything comes from there. But you can also do a thing where you kind of mix and match, and so maybe you add your Matter accessory into Apple Home, and then you go and add a new ecosystem right from the Apple Home app. It'll initiate pairing mode on that accessory, and you can multi-admin add it into other smart home systems. And Matter's working in future versions to make that even easier, so you can do more of that at once, bring over more accessories at once between different systems. But then, of course, like maybe you want to play with, or, Aqara's voice assistant. Well, then you can bring some of your accessories into that system. And then you'll have that native Aqara controls inside of their stuff. And the same goes for me, for like when I got the Amazon ALEXA Plus early access, I added a bunch of my Matter accessories, like my Matter Google Nest thermostat, into Amazon just as a Matter device. And I went into Apple Home, add a new ecosystem, and boom, it generated a new Matter code for me, and I added that right into Amazon, no problem. So of course, there's the downsides of kind of different interconnected things, right? When I upgraded my Apple TV to the beta version of tvOS 26, and then I, that created some changes in my Matter controller. I don't think it was anything specific to the tvOS beta. It's just changes in my Matter controller that meant my Matter thermostat went offline. And so then I had to reboot my thermostat to get it to go back to both ecosystems, because once it was off of Apple, then that automatically meant it was offline for Amazon too. And I know for Nest, there are other ways I could tie it into Amazon. I just wanted to try the newfangled Matter thing just because that's what I do. I like to try the new stuff. But yeah, rant over on Matter. Heard one of the things that I've actually noticed when it comes to AI and ChatGPT has taken the right direction when it comes to AIs. I don't know what you're getting at there, William, but Perplexity's also done some stuff where you can control Apple Home within the Perplexity app. I haven't played much with it, but I know Stephen Robles has, and it's been on my list, but I just haven't gotten there as far as other ways to control. But hey, thanks, Ricardo. I'm glad you agree. Oh yeah, and thank you, East Mar Vista. Thumbs up. Give this video a like and subscribe, as we all say. So yeah. I've been playing with a lot of different AI tools. I use large language models all the time for, man, all kinds of stuff. I love them for, I've been using a combination of Claude and ChatGPT. I keep thinking that I'll find enough reason that I can just pay for one or the other, but then I end up like finding things I like about both. So I just keep paying for the $20 a month plan for both ChatGPT and Claude, which is over the top. I know you really only, you don't need any, but I mean, like, one is, I think, really powerful. But yeah, the deep research stuff on ChatGPT especially, but also Claude as well, it's really impressive. And I use it for, like, if I'm writing if I'm working on a review about a product for YouTube, I'll get it to basically be like a research assistant, which, I mean, I would never have the budget to hire a real research assistant for my channel, but I know bigger channels have people like this, and it'll just create a bunch of outline of notes for me about that product, the different specs, what they mean, the different things, how it compares to other models or similar things in that category. And it's a really quick way to get up to speed on what's going on with this product and what are the things I might want to pay attention to in my review. Of course, it's not writing my review for me. I'm just taking those facts like a research assistant might make for someone, and then making my own outline of what I want to talk about. And of course, mostly rooted in my experience using the product. But if the deep research says some feature stands out or is really notable about this, then I'll definitely like zero in on that in my own testing and experience. But yeah, it can be a really helpful tool for just like making those kinds of leaps forward in, like, now, boom, I have all the information. Of course, it can hallucinate. I always get it to link to sources. There are different ways to prompt it for all this stuff that can be really helpful. But it can also be great for, like, I know a lot of YouTubers use it for title and thumbnail suggestions, but that's kind of niche to YouTube. This is not a channel about YouTuber stuff, so I don't want to get into all that stuff. I know we do have some fellow great creators here in the chat, but it's certainly not everybody watching. Like Eric Modern Day Tech, who joined, and Egger's Home Tech. Got some great creators here. But yeah, hey, LLMs are very handy. I just we'll see how they all work out in the smart home space. And I've been playing some as well with some different ways I can integrate LLMs into my smart home that maybe I'll share in future videos if they actually pan out. It's just kind of like the early research stages of some cool stuff there, but nothing really to share at the moment on that, but we'll see. Oh yeah, so that's another good question, Ratchet Gang. So I've played around with Cursor. I've used Cursor a fair bit for, well, a couple different things. That's actually another interesting side note. So it was kind of, it ended up taking, like a lot of engineering projects, way longer than I initially expected. But what I did for Prime Day this year, and I'll pull up the website. So they're, as part of the Amazon like creator program, but also working with a lot of great brands out there, they'll send us creators their Prime Day deals before the Prime Day. And of course, all of this is past now. So, but I vibe coded a handful of scripts that basically take the data from different sources, normalize it, and then also go off to, I use Genius Link. So I use their API to just get affiliate links with the script, because you can just do a basic curl request from the terminal on a Mac. And then, so then it fills out this thing where it does not only my affiliate link with the Amazon column, but then a link to the camel history for that product. Now, there's still some edge cases where, like, a company sent me their stuff and all of their Amazon product identifiers, their ASINs or whatever, were at the end of the URL. And I'm like, oh, my script fails when it's like at the end of the URL. So I need to get AI to help me fix it. But I found Cursor for something like that was really helpful because there's more context than just like I need a basic script, right? There's a handful of different scripts interacting and doing different things. And so Cursor's really was handy for that because it's easier to show the context. I've heard good things about Claude Code for this similar kind of problem. It can be pretty expensive to try Claude Code, so I haven't dived into it. I just do the basic plan on Cursor for now, and that's been plenty powerful enough for me. But yeah, so this was a kind of a vibe coding project where these kind of HTML tables are spit out by AI based on input sources. And I still have to do some work to kind of normalize the data columns, give them more standard names, which makes it easier for them, my prompts to AI, to pick up on the right column in the CSV. But it's a set of tools that I think is pretty well built for me now, and was kind of challenging to get going, at least the way I wanted it to be set up. Yeah, hopefully for Black Friday coming up and maybe other Prime days or stuff, I'll be able to have a much more comprehensive list for you on my website of all the different deals in a way that could hopefully be helpful to you. And something that I wouldn't have time to put together myself manually, but like if I can automate the process, it could be handy. So yeah, getting it, and some of it too there was like, I mean, this is getting really nerdy details. I'm sorry for those who maybe aren't as into programming. We'll get back to more basic topics in a minute. Python ended up being a really good scripting language for this, which I'm less familiar with, but it was something that the AI was great at writing, and I can kind of poke my way around enough. And so that was like a fun project. Now I'm not gonna share these scripts at all, or something that's really kind of internal to what I do, and very specific to my needs. But yeah, a cool use case for Cursor. And of course, I've used it as I've mentioned before. I'm working on an app related to Apple smart home tech. So Cursor's been helping me build that out as well in bits and pieces. But then the other thing for editing video, I use a tool, and I need to sign up for their affiliate program because I talk about them occasionally enough that I should use this. But this is another like tricks of the trade for, I think, anything where you're telling stories through video. And this could be something for YouTube or not. But another cool AI tool that's kind of underappreciated is this one here, which is Gling. So this is a cool app. And what I like about it compared to something like Descript is that it's working with like you can give it a giant video file. It will then take, I think, like a compressed version or like just the audio and use that, upload it to a server, get the transcription and things, and send it back down. So it's mostly working with your video file locally. So you can have like a giant video file, from recording 4K video, right? And it's some of these other programs, they'll like, you have to pay for a super premium plan and slowly upload all of that data to their servers. That's not the case with Gling, which is really nice. And it can spit out then the timeline files for that particular editor. So what I do is I will go through, I work with an editor, but then what I'll do is I'll go through, I used to use this when I just edited my own videos myself, and I exported the Final Cut Pro XML of my edited video, like what we call A-roll, just the talking part of it. And it's easy to edit with the text there. And it doesn't make perfect cuts and things like that, but it will just export the XML or whatever format you want for any video editor, right? So it does Final Cut, it does DaVinci Resolve, it does Adobe Premiere. And then I can just send that to my editor as a starting point for the A-roll rough cut. And then he can go into more detail of tweaking it and fixing the cuts and then adding B-roll and stuff like that. But it's made things really fast for me being able to still edit things for content in a way that's faster and still doesn't take me that much time. And then I can get it to an editor who can make it look a lot better than I could for the rest of it. And that's of course a human editor at that point. That's not AI. But and Gling, the AI part of it is not just the transcription. It's also, it will look at what you're saying and cut out duplicate takes. So if you say something and then say it again and say it again, it'll take the last one automatically, and you can adjust it as you manually edit. But that's another cool like AI driven feature there. Yes, but less moving back from AI. Python, cool, good to hear. Python supporters here. But what are your thoughts about trying tvOS 26 on a TV, not the main hub? Yes, I would recommend waiting for the public beta. There's been a lot of discussion in the Apple universe, like when is the public beta coming? I don't know. But usually that's a good time frame, generally speaking, with these betas, because it's a time when Apple feels like they've gotten a lot of things in a pretty good general place. There's some fun things there to play with, and I'll probably be talking about it on my channel at some point later in the summer. But I think from what we saw at WWDC, there's some cool things around like the karaoke stuff with Apple Music Sing. Maybe that's something you're into. Otherwise, the UI is slightly nicer in certain areas, but it's not a groundbreaking change. There's a whole thing around Thread 1.4, which might be helpful for your smart home. But again, upgrading your primary Matter controller in your home to the beta is I think a risky move. Great if you want to cover the latest and greatest for folks here on YouTube. I mean, probably, but like it's not. It will introduce problems with your smart home. There are still things today that I'm dealing with that I should. I'm like, this is because I upgraded. So. Like some stuff with like scripted cameras, just didn't work for a while. I had to re-add a bunch of them and some things. And I'm not blaming scripted, and I'm not necessarily blaming Apple Home on that. I just think that's like a weird scenario in what I was going on in my home. But there's been some other stuff that was unresponsive or needed to be restart. So yeah. Anyways, I think it's a great update. But I would recommend, if you like to have a stable smart home, I don't think Apple would ever recommend that you try beta software for your smart home. But yeah, putting it on a non-central Apple TV could work great. And you can also, in the settings of the Apple TV, you could turn off the HomeKit functionality if you want to be certain that it's not messing with your smart home. And then, I think then you also can't AirPlay to it at that point, but you probably have other ways to AirPlay to the TV. It might not be the end of the world if that TV can't do AirPlay. But yeah. One thing they were talking about with Apple TV, tvOS 26, that I thought was interesting, the HomeKit Insider podcast was talking about this, and I haven't dug into the details too much myself, and I will for some upcoming videos. But because of this limitations, I think, with Wi-Fi, and I think from under the hood, Apple's I think this is what powers like everything local with Wi-Fi with Apple, which is their near field connectivity framework, or multi-peer connectivity framework. Yep, the multi-peer connectivity framework. So this is what I'm talking about. So this is what I think powers a lot of stuff. But I think is a limitation with that, or something where with tvOS and this sort of like you're singing into the microphone for the karaoke, it does not work with HomePods as the speaker. And I think that gets into limitations of Wi-Fi and some of the latency around what you'd expect from karaoke with singing and then having it sync with the So like you have to use your TV speakers is what the Apple Insider folks were saying. I haven't tried this scenario myself, but I thought that was an interesting, understandable limitation. I'm sure it's not what Apple would have chosen. I don't think it's like some sign of a strategic thing, like they're abandoning those HomePods or something. I don't think that's the case at all. But it's just kind of an interesting anecdote there. I'm living on the edge, Brendan. Oh, no. It's been working flawlessly. Great, except for the visual bugs. Yes. Okay. Level lock plus device dropping off. Well, that's good to hear. It's working for you well. Yeah, and in general, I should say that, aside from a few issues, it's been fine for me. I just don't want to make it I don't want to encourage folks out there who don't who might be on the edge about living on the edge to jump in when maybe they shouldn't. But if you're up for it, I think yeah, that's cool. And I agree. I've been playing with a handful of the betas. I have it on my phone. I have it on my iPad, and it's there's definitely a lot of visual animation things that need some more work. And of course, there's the whole conversation around liquid glass in general and Apple, toning it back a little bit in beta 3. But I love the look of it. And I think what they did in beta 3 was great. I think there's some people trying to make some more drama out of that scenario than really it needs to be. I think liquid glass is really cool. But I do kind of wonder, like, what it will do for, like, what the experience is like to use an iPhone over time. Because right now, what you have years after moving to iOS 7 is a platform that really feels consistent, more or less, as you go between different apps. A lot of apps still feel good on the iPhone, but I wonder how much a lot of these apps are actually going to adopt things like liquid glass for their navigational elements and then feel at home on the iPhone, or if it'll feel like, oh, I just went into my bank app and it looks way different than everything else. And then I close out and I go into Netflix and it looks way different. And then I go into Facebook and it looks way different. And then I go into, some Apple app and it's like, that's all shiny with liquid glass. And we'll see how that all pans out. I'm kind of curious to see over the coming years what happens there. But yeah, I think overall, I love the look and feel of it. And I think a phone where that's the case for all of the apps will be really nice. And I know there's been some various ways that Apple could potentially strong arm people into using liquid glass by, not this version of it, not Xcode 26, but Xcode 27, not being able to turn it off in the build settings for apps. But I imagine by that point, there's some of these companies it would be easier for them to just build some more custom controls themselves than to adopt liquid glass in certain areas. We'll see how that all balances out. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if some of the bigger tech companies don't open source some like sort of Swift UI alternative controls that don't look like liquid glass, so that companies can use those. I don't think Apple would like that. I don't think that's ideal, but I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if all that happens. But man, we've gotten a lot in the developer range of topics tonight. I'm sorry for all those who aren't developers or aren't really into the coding side. No, it's been pretty solid, John. The Apple Home app on iOS 26, it looks basically the same. In some ways, Apple Home's redesign was in a lot of ways vaguely along the lines of liquid glass already, but really all you see are just like the tab bar and the navigation buttons. Those are all liquid glass, and so you got like the new things where like you open up a settings window and you get the checkbox to close it as opposed to done or whatever. But it's other than that, it's not a massive change and also not a massive issue. I've been using it a lot and rarely seen issues with that side of it. So yeah, if you want to put the beta on your phone, I mean, it's pretty stable by beta 3 at this point. Again, probably better to just wait for the public beta at this point. But you're not going to find that your smart home will implode if your iPhone is running the beta. I've plenty of years run it where my phone or other devices on the beta and my main smart home hubs are not on the beta. You won't get some of the newer smart home features, which isn't really a thing this year, but I don't think that's going to be a big deal. So yeah, nothing to worry about there. Oh, cool. Yeah, it's yeah, I mean, no big deal. I don't think you're really missing out, Edgar. Um, maybe reconsider when the public beta comes out, but right now again, as I said, unless you're really wanting to get the latest and greatest on Apple Music singing, I think there's some cool things Apple's doing that are just like, will be nice to have when tvOS 26 comes out. But yeah, for the smart home side of things, I don't see reasons to upgrade early because of the features it would bring your smart home, right? It's not one of those releases for Apple. So. That's interesting, Brendan. I've not been playing with Levelux lately, but it's a bummer. They're not working for you. We'll see what happens over the summer. Wow, so we've been going over an hour now, and I don't really have much else to add. I do want to mention, if you haven't seen, I do want to direct you to a video this week. I have a video to share with you. And this is one you might have already seen, but hold on. I just tried to go direct to the video and it did not find it. So here we go.
For weeks, you get some.
This is a video from our fellow regular chat attender, regular live stream attender, and great smart home creator, George Langabeer, just making an update about his health situation from earlier this week. And yeah, just a good, I can't, why is it not pasting in the chat? Command C, there we go. There we go. Yeah, so go check out George's video if you haven't already. If you followed George at all and just interested in a quick update about what happened to George, he got in a bad e-bike accident, and he can tell you more of the details of the injury. But we're all praying and hoping, George, that you, thoughts and prayers that you can recover quickly and see you back here on YouTube as soon as you can. But yeah, with that, thanks so much for tuning into my live stream. And have a good rest. Have a good night. And stay tuned. Hopefully tomorrow I should have a nice video for you. We'll see.